Hi, folks. I'm Robert O'Brien from O'Brien Guitars and the Lutherie Academy. I'm always on the lookout for a better mousetrap. I think I have found a better mousetrap when it comes to bench vices and how to work on your bench, work around the workflow and your workpiece. Recently, on one of my Shop Talk live streams, I had the guitar specialist. He owns a shop in upstate New York known as Doug Proper. I'm going to bring him on and let him talk about this better mousetrap. Doug, how you doing this morning?
How are you, Robbie?
I'm doing well. You are the guitar specialist, right?
That's what we call ourselves.
Good deal. You have a website also, guitarspecialist.com, that folks should probably go and check out. But I'm
Sure.
very interested in what you have come up with as far as what you call the Proper's Guitar Workstation. Can you explain that to us?
Yeah, this is a recent invention, I guess you could call it, or a recent development that I designed in cooperation with a guy by the name of Jeff Howard at a company called Howard's Total Vice. He's been making for the last couple of years. He's been making some splashes in the guitar community as having a series of vices that are very friendly to guitar work. He works in a multitude of different types of industries: the sporting industry, guns, knives, bows, machinist type industries, or machine work type industries, and that kind of thing. And a few years ago, he kind of noticed that the guitar world was kind of set in its ways and with its vices, whether it be the Parrot vice or Stumac vice or the Carver's type vices. He decided to dip his foot into that, his toe into that part of the pool, and see what he can come up with for vices. And he's worked with guys like me. He's worked with Dan Earlywine, Ian Davlin, and all of us independently and together to come up with different offerings for the guitar community. I've really kind of taken a shine to his product in the guitar world because I like the modularity of his vices. The whole notion that I can switch from one vice to another, from one jig to another, from one fixture to another, and have them tilt and spin in virtually any position and any angle. So I didn't have to tilt and spin in virtually any angle, which is the thing that appealed to me. I mean, you from doing this work for as long as we have, we're a chiropractor's dream come true. When you're working on a guitar, typically a guitar is sitting at a bench, and we are in a position where we're constantly hovering over the guitar, whether it's you're doing fret work and you're bent at the waist and you have to push yourself away from the bench at some point because you can't bend over anymore and you're stiff in the back, or if you're doing bracing work, you're constantly moving your guitar around to get to where you need to on a guitar, and kind of having the guitar be at the bench, but at the same time you're contorting yourself in impossible positions, all with yourself bent at the waist. I practically got a curved spine because of it, because we've spent all our lives doing this kind of work, turning ourselves into a pretzel.
Boy, I know that feeling.
Yeah.
I've been working on a 1941 Martin doing a neck reset this morning, and sure enough, my lower back's already hurting. How can this product help me?
Well, here. So rather than having to constantly hold a guitar in awkward positions while you're holding a guitar doing something to it, or if you're setting a neck and having to hold the guitar this way while you're pulling sandpaper or whatever you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So we came up with, this is the new product. This is the Proper's Guitar Workstation. This came out of a conversation that Jeff and I had regarding his request for if I ever had anything special that I wanted. And I had been working with him and his vices for a good period of time. So this was the product we came up with. This is a guitar holder. This holds a guitar so I don't have to. A quick rundown of what the components are. There is a headstock support, which tilts to any headstock angle you could ever need. There are telescoping supports that run along the full length of the beam. The beam itself could be adjusted to be virtually any angle for virtually any instrument. So if I've got a really long bass that I'm working on, Or if I've got a mandolin, I can telescope it all the way down to here and just work on a mandolin. So it'll fit any size instrument we could use. Then you have a body support, which is a cross beam that slides up and down the full length of the beam. And then in the back, you have something that's known as something we call a tail block support. All of those components, they will tilt and spin and on several different axes, or at least two different axes, all at the same time, and they're lockable in all sorts of positions. And the entire time we were trying to come up with this, there was the temptation to make it more complicated so it would do more things, so it would spin, so it would tilt and have dial indicators on it and all sorts of other fancy things. But we kept dialing it back during those conversations. I wanted to make it less complicated so it would do more. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. And I see a guitar behind you there in the workstation. Can you show that as well?
Sure. Yeah, this is another workstation we have going here.
This actually has a guitar in it. It's just like the one on the bench then, right?
It's just like the one on the bench. And here we have a guitar sitting in the workstation. It's positionable in almost any position I would want, which I can show you in just a second. But I'll show you here first, up close, so you can see what a guitar looks like when it goes into the workstation. All you need to do is put the length of the support. These feet come out. They're covered in rubber, so you can't damage the guitar. They're lockable in there. It comes with wing nuts that you can lock them in position. You can also adjust the height of them to any height you would want for any instrument. For our purposes, just for our discussion, I'm leaving them unlocked. You would set the length of this so that the feet are sitting right on the rims and the headstock is sitting on the headstock support. At this point, the rims of the guitar are sitting right on the feet. I can lock that in position. Come around the other side. I have a peg head support here that is also telescoping, where I can set whatever height I'm working at or want to for whatever instrument I'm working on, lock in the telescope for the height of the peg head, and then lock the peg head angle for the peg head itself. Once that's the case, there are two iron pins or steel pins that I can strap the peg head into the peg head support. And once that's there, the headstock is locked in. The tail block support telescopes as well for any size instrument. Comes back right on the firmest part of the guitar, which is your tail block. You can lock that at its length, lock it in terms of its height. And once that's in, strapped at the peg head, locked down here, I cannot move this guitar. It's immobile. So if I'm shaving a bridge, the guitar's not dancing around the bench. If I'm shaping a crack, or if I'm scraping the sides, or the binding, or the purfling, or if I'm cutting anything, or if I'm sanding a fingerboard, this guitar is not dancing around my bench. As a young luthier, I was always super frustrated. Every time I'd be working on a guitar on the bench, I'm sanding with a sanding block or a leveling beam or a file or whatever, and every pass, the guitar is taking a nosedive. The guitar is jostling around on my bench. The guitar is physically moving around while I'm trying to work on it, and that always frustrated the hell out of me. So I've always worked in ways where I've tried to elevate the guitar from the bench so I'm working at a little bit more comfortable height and not bending over. Also, so that the guitar is not moving around while I'm putting it through its paces. So once we've got a guitar locked in,
Doug, let me just make a quick comment. I see two benefits all of a sudden. I mean, just real quick out of the gate. First of all, you're not hurting yourself. You're not bending over the instrument. Second of all, you don't run the risk of damaging the instrument as it's moving around on the bench. I mean, you've had guitars jump up on tools as you're working and doing fret work and stuff. So those are just two advantages right there I can see right out of the gate.
Absolutely. So this guitar will never come into contact with that wrench, ever. Two, when you're doing, say, for example, if you're doing fret work, I'm doing fret work, and all of that detritus, all of that fret dust, all of that wood, all of that, all of that material is not falling on your bench, which is the other thing that used to drive me crazy too. A guitar is lying on a bench, I'm filing fret ends or I'm filing fret tops, or I'm crowning, and all of that fret dust is falling to the bench. And then if you're crowning and then you want to do the other side of the guitar, you have to flip the guitar over. That guitar's back is now resting on fret material, on fret dust.
Right.
That's not for a finish. We've all experienced where you're clipping fret ends and one of those little fret ends.
Oh my God.
That'll ruin your afternoon.
Oh yeah. I call that the star of death.
Yeah.
You're not only doing a refret, you're doing a refinish.
Yeah, you spend your afternoon on crawling around on the floor, hoping to account for all of your fret ends that you've clipped if you drop it. Where this, even if it does fly away from the guitar can never sit in it. Plus, I can work from virtually any angle of the guitar that I wish. Let me move bench, and I can adjust it for any bench size. So there, for example, you saw it coming here, and it was coming close to the toolbox at the end of the bench. I can adjust this to fit any size bench I'd be working at, so that when I'm spinning the guitar around, I'm not coming into contact with any part of anything at my bench. So I can get basically 180-degree access to the bench. I can have an island without me having to move it. And yes, the benefits are that you're also working at a comfortable height. If I'm crowning frets, I'm not hunched over.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let me ask another question about this, Doug. Is this a permanent fixture on your bench, or is it detachable? I mean, can I have my bench space back?
Sure. You can just move this anywhere you want it.
Oh, look at that.
That's also the beauty of Jeff's whole system. It's a modular system that works off of docking stations. So I can have this docking station at my bench.
Mm-hmm.
I can be using his pedestal, which you see over here behind me. This is his pedestal, which has the same docking head as this. So I could move this from here to there, or that from here to here, from there to here, and then lock it in. And I'm going to show you something else that's a little bit more about the workstation itself. These supports here slide the full length of the beam to be anywhere I need it. They telescope up and down, but we purposely, instead of making a guitar-shaped call, we purposely made it just nothing more than a steel pedestal.
Okay.
Because if we're talented enough to be able to make guitars, we should be able to make any number of calls to fit what we're working on.
Right.
So that's what I've started doing, is making my own calls. There's a magnet on the bottom of it.
Oh, look at that.
So now I have a call for when I want to use a pedestal for a neck support. I can telescope that right up to where the neck is. With my station locked, that's going to support my neck for doing any kind of fret work. It's also going to support my neck for being able to hammer in frets. I can hammer in frets all the live long day on this, and merely just move my pedestal to the next series of frets that I need to install, and then hammer in those frets all the way up the fingerboard. This one here, we made shorter, because all I need to do is make a wedge-shaped call,
right,
with a on the bottom of it. That I rest right there, and I could slide that right under the body, and that lifts up to support the tail block of the guitar. If I use that in conjunction with a scissor jack that we all know from Stu Mac.
Sure. Uh-huh.
If I put that under here and extend it, I can now fret all the way up the fingerboard extension without the use of a fret buck, because this is now supported directly from the beam all the way to the top.
Wow, that's nice. Very convenient.
I don't have to worry about how hard I'm hitting the fingerboard extension. So that's like, just an example of what you could do with fret work. If you want to file your frets this way, which I know a lot of people do, you can. I have a tendency to like to be able to stand on the side of the guitar and file frets this way, or file my fret ends and that kind of thing. You could work from both sides of the guitar without having to constantly pick up the guitar, turn it around, drop it, pick it up, turn it around. This now remains jigged, so it's immobile. My neck is never going to move on me. I'm doing fret ends or what have you. All of that stuff I can do. We'll go one step further, because the other product that was created in conjunction with this was a product that Jeff is calling the Total Vice Crossover Mini. This is light enough for me to carry with a guitar in it. So I can move from one part of my shop to another, which I do often, without ever having to have the guitar come out of the workstation. The Crossover Mini adds a certain amount of functionality to the workstation. Once I put the workstation into the Crossover Mini, now I've got a workstation that I can move.
Oh, wow, look at that.
To any position, for any purpose, for any repair I could possibly want. Once it's in that position, this guitar can be anywhere I need it to be.
Wow, look at that.
So, and on not only on two axes, but if I move this and this, I can move the workstation to have the guitar be at virtually any position I would want, up or down, and while it's there, have it spin. For example, if I'm doing brace work or bridge work in this case, if I was doing bridge work, I can now work with the bridge right below my nose, and I'm not hovering over the bench to try to see around it.
Boy, that's wonderful right there.
I can see 100% around the bridge. I can adjust the height so it's comfortable for me. Then, while I'm saying if I'm cleaning up squeeze out, I can have the whole guitar accessible to me for cleaning up without having to wonder if I've got everything off that side of the bridge.
Right.
Move this thing all the way around. If you want to talk about, we were talking before about doing brace work. You want to be working on the back brace? I'm already at the fourth brace and beyond it without ever having to bend over. I can reach across the whole thing. I can reach brace number 3 in the back, 1 and 2. I can work from whatever position I want. And when I find a position that's comfortable, lock it in and just attend to it without having to bend over.
Right.
Working on top braces. I could be working on top braces here. I could be working on, if I want to work on a bridge plate. I could be pulling a bridge plate and not have to worry about hunching over the guitar. And when I need to work from a different angle, I can get in over here. If I want to get in the front, I can get in over here. And I'm not bent over. I'm bringing the guitar to me to do all of those things. Same thing with side cracks. Same thing with scraping binding. Same thing with virtually anything that I could possibly want to do. with a guitar. If, I can work with a guitar face down in this and work on the back of a guitar. I can work on an electric guitar. I can work on an acoustic guitar. I can work on an electric bass. It's long enough to hold even the longest long scale bass.
Doug, I also noticed that this is a modular system, and
Yeah.
you have one that's attached to your bench there, like we could see, and you also have one behind you over there on
Hmm.
the pedestal. So I can mount this on a pedestal. I can mount it to my bench, correct?
You can. We move over here to the pedestal. So here, in this particular one, I have his original crossover in the vise. I'm working on an arch top here, be able to work a guitar. Now what we're doing is we're working on the sides. The entire instrument was refinished or French polished, I should say. We do a lot of French polishing as repair techniques. So the entire top was re-French polished. We redid the sunburst via French polish.
Oh wow!
And now we're working on the sides. This entire section of the guitar was pushed in from here to here, was pushed in so that everything folded in. The jack was way back here.
Oh my God!
So here, we've already done the work to be able to pull those sides out, repair all of the cracks where they were, and now we're just sanding and filling voids and whatnot, and we're getting ready to do some color matching, and then I'll do some French polishing over that. But I don't even think I'll take the guitar out of the workstation to do that, because I'll be able to do my color matching and French polish no matter where I am on all of the sides without having to worry about having to hold the guitar. So if I'm French polishing this side of the guitar, I'll be able to French polish the whole side of the guitar. This side here, I'll be able to do my color matching and my touch up with the guitar. You've noticed so far that I haven't bent over once.
Exactly. That's the beneficial thing, because the older we get, the harder it is to contort ourselves into those positions to get in the guitar and around the guitar and stuff. So that's very impressive right there alone.
Yeah, I haven't bent at the waist in about 6 weeks since I've had this.
Well, heck, you need to get a gym membership then, it sounds like.
Anybody who knows me knows I have a serious aversion to exercise.
So you've no doubt done your homework on this, Doug. I mean, this is very impressive. I think you just launched it, didn't you? When did you actually launch this thing?
We just launched it Friday. They started going on sale Friday.
Okay.
And so far we've had a pretty darn good response to it. It's a guitar holder that holds a guitar basically like no other holder did, and it's not a tool to work on a guitar with. It's a tool to work on a guitar in.
Right.
Although it does some pretty swanky stuff there too. The more I use it, the more I find that I can do with it. The whole modularity of the workstation, which coincidentally also kind of goes hand in hand with the whole modularity of Jeff's whole system. All of his vices fit into all of his docking heads and so forth and so such. But the fact that you can make almost any fixture or any call that your imagination will allow you to do some, almost anything you want. If you put a guitar face down in this thing, loading a guitar face down in the system into the workstation is pretty much that quick. I could adjust these feet to be almost any height I'd want. We raise the feet up, adjust the length of the feet.
It just shows how versatile it is, Doug. You can go from acoustic to electric back to acoustic, and the jig will support that.
Not only that, but just in a matter of a minute or two. If I was doing an electric guitar on its back, the same thing would take place. I would rest the electric guitar on its feet that way and lock it in. In this case, I'll put it face down on a peg head support. And once my tail block support comes in and locks, that guitar's not going to go anywhere. And here, I can bring any kind of support I want if I use those same tapered calls, but in the opposite direction. Now I have something that will support the neck. I could actually, if I wanted to, I could even use the peg head angle support to set the angle of a busted peg head, lock it in place, and then clamp right to it, right in the jig.
Wow, that's pretty slick.
Yeah, so I mean, it's like the more I use it, the more I find I can do with it, just by the sheer nature of the fact that I can keep making calls to do different things with it. And getting a guitar in or out of the workstation is that quick and easy.
Now, being a modular system, let's say I wanted to start slowly and buy a couple of components. Can I add on as I go, or do I have to buy it outright?
No, you can add it on as you go. The whole our workstation in and of itself is just this part here.
Okay.
This is the workstation.
Mm-hmm.
Now you need, in order to work with Jeff's system, you need a docking station,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you can, if you're already a Total Vice customer, you're already very familiar with this kind of a docking station, and you don't need a docking station. You can just get the workstation.
Okay.
If you're new to the system and you've never used Total Vice stuff before, the docking head is necessary to work with the system. You can purchase this workstation with a dock as a package for the workstation and a dock. You can also buy it in a package with the workstation and the Crossover Mini. Or you can buy the complete package, which is the workstation, the dock, and the Crossover Mini as a package of 3. Depending on which package you buy, he's running a special right now where there's introductory pricing for all 3 products. So if you buy the complete package, you'll save about $90 on the whole package because you're going to be saving about $50 off the workstation, about $20 off of this, and $20 off of this, or $30 off of this, and $10 off of something like that. But it comes to about like a $90 savings on the complete package.
Right.
If you just bought the workstation, it would come to about $50 off just for the workstation.
Okay. Now, for those that are going to watch this video later, that we're putting this out just the week before Thanksgiving, or actually the week of Thanksgiving, 2022. How long is this promotion going on?
The introductory pricing is going to be good until January 1st.
That'd be 2023 then.
2023. So for the next, whatever it is, 6 weeks of the year, the introductory pricing is good.
Right.
And then on January 1st, all of those pricing is going up. The workstation is by itself is $199 or $200.
Mm-hmm.
The workstation, the complete package, the workstation, the Crossover Vice, and the dock, I think total is $440. That's the introductory price.
Okay. Sounds very reasonable. Now, you talked about the efficiency, or not the efficiency, but the physical benefit. You're not bending over your work. You're not contorting yourself. You're not doing yoga to try to get in and around the guitar. What about your workflow? Have you noticed any benefits with your workflow? Have you become more efficient? Can you get more guitars across your bench in a day?
Yeah, and it's the kind of thing where every task that I'm doing, the whole system here gets me about at least 30% quicker on every job that I'm doing.
Okay.
Because I'm not messing around with the guitar while I'm doing it. I'm just doing my work. So if I'm positioning a guitar as we had before, Let's say we were talking about doing fret work, and you want to do fret ends. If I'm shaping my fret ends, not only am I comfortable, but I'm right here. And then I want to do the other side. I can do the other side.
Oh yeah. So efficiency and workflow went up for you with this system.
Yes, yeah. If I'm working on, like I was showing you before, how I can spin the guitar and almost access every brace in the guitar. I've done bracing jobs where there are 7 braces loose in the guitar.
Wow.
Rather than doing it the way we always used to do it, which was climb inside the guitar while it's on the bench and have it all clamped up with all sorts of brace jacks and everything else getting in the way, I can do a brace on this side of the guitar, get everything in, spin the guitar to a different position, imagining this was an acoustic, get into this brace over here, put my brace jacks in, spin the guitar to another position, get the brace over here, spin it around to another position, get the brace over here, clamp up. I can clamp against the rail if I'm clamping on the top. I can make fixtures to attach to this workstation. It's another thing that, by the way, this cross beam, when the feet come out, we left it purposely. It's also everything that could come into contact with the guitar is covered in urethane with this workstation.
Nice.
People are curious about, like, say, for example, this hold down. Anywhere that touches the guitar has urethane on it.
Okay.
So there's nothing that could mar an instrument. The crossbeam itself, once you take these feet out, you could rest a guitar on it because it's covered in urethane at the bottom at the top of the crossbeam. It also has holes in it that if you wanted to create a fixture that matched the curvature of the bottom of your guitar, you could attach it right to the crossbeam. So the whole idea behind all of this is that it gets me through the job quicker. When you get to the end of the job, you're not fatigued. It's holding the guitar in a situation where the guitar remains immobile while I'm working on it. And so if I'm working on a part of the guitar here and I'm working on the guitar's not, if I'm sanding or if I'm scraping, the guitar's not moving because it's being held firmly in a position that's comfortable for me rather than the guitar.
Right.
I was looking at the jig and wondering, I wonder if I could do any French polishing in this. And I looked, of course, at the tail block hold down. And I said, I wouldn't be able to French polish there because that gets in the way.
Right.
Well, all I would have to do is everything's magnetic or everything's steel, anything that's magnetic will work with it. So now, if I made that and that just held down the end pin of my unit there, I won't lock it up now, but you can see how that will hold down the end pin, and now I can French polish right past it without ever touching it.
Well, that's genius.
The only limitations here are your imagination in terms of what kind of calls you can come up with to do it. You want to see something really cool?
Let's see it.
You've done.
Wait, the cool factor is already off the charts here. You got something else to show me that's even more cool?
Well, you built classical guitars like on a Solara workboard.
Yes.
Right. Here's just to show you. Not just building. I've used Solara workboards for structural repairs.
Okay.
All you need to do.
Look at that.
1 3/4 pipe sticking out of it, and I can work not only from any angle. When was the last time you worked on a guitar that was on a Solara workboard that you were able to do that with?
That's pretty slick.
If you're carving braces or whatever you're doing, if you're working on fitting your end block, fitting your head block, if you're bending your sides in, you want to scrape from this side as opposed to that side, I can do virtually anything on virtually any angle I want to do if I want to work this way. rather than having this flat where I have to get up over the guitar and reach in weird places, this now comes to me. So just for example there, when was the last time you were able to do that with a Solara?
Absolutely.
So, it's not just my workstation, although I'm very pleased with my workstation. Quite frankly, I haven't really done much of anything to a guitar outside of it since we've had them. I've been working with them for about 6 weeks since the prototypes were finalized.
Nice.
And I pretty much do all of my work in those workstations for the most part. But, just the idea of being able to have any kind of fixture you want, any kind of jig, any kind of vise. I know guys who like parrot vices. Be able to have a parrot vise. At 45 degrees, and then have it spin, 100 degrees at 45,
Right.
or any vise you want.
Yeah, the number of positions is just infinite, isn't it?
Endless.
Well, I think that you have definitely created a new mousetrap there for us, and you've sold me. I mean, I'm convinced. If everybody else wants to, be convinced and go get one of these, where's the place they can get it again?
They can go to totalvice.com,
Mm-hmm.
TOTALVISE.com.
.com. And the promotion runs until January 1st, 2023, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, Doug, I certainly appreciate you coming on here and sharing with our viewers the Better Mousetrap. It's fantastic. Thank you for your time this morning. I know you're a busy guy.
I appreciate you having me, Robbie.
All right. You take care, Doug.
Thanks so much.